Are you Hannibal Buress? I've never seen the two of you in the same room at the same time.
Neither has he.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to MCUEx after a very long break. I'm Doug Herring.
I'm Nick Fox.
And we have some lots of fun Marvel news to talk about.
That's right, it's both fun and it's Marvel.
It's fun and Marvel, and arguably news.
Arguably. Depends who you ask.
We took about a month off for Christmas and holiday, New Year, all that fun stuff, but we're back now and excited to be back.
Yes, because we'd rather be with you than with our families.
Exactly. So, Nick, should we jump right into our stories for today?
I think we should.
All right, cool.
I mean, I think we're going to do it anyway.
I think we are.
Whether or not I said no or not, we were going to do it, so we might as well.
Right.
Because we don't really have free will.
Getting heavy real early on.
Just like to drop that truth bomb on you early. The sooner you get okay with it, the better your life's going to be.
So our first story for this episode is we've got a lot of set photos from the Defenders. And some of them are on screen right now, so you're looking at them.
And I mean, this really shouldn't be a surprise. They're filming out and about in New York City and their various locations. We're going to see stuff.
Yeah, we always get lots and lots of set photos from all the Netflix shows because they film in New York. So this is not a surprise. Punisher was actually filming right outside my apartment a few months ago. I don't know if I mentioned that on the show before.
I think you did mention that on the show.
I might have, because it was cool.
And I think I asked whether or not you were Frank.
And I am not, once again. So,
the perfect cover.
As you can see with these photos that have been on screen since we started talking about this, I hope, we see Jessica and Luke together, Jessica and Matt together. But the really interesting thing we see is it's our first look at Sigourney Weaver as the villain of the Defenders, Alexandra. That's all we know about her. We know she's a powerful figure in New York. We know her first name.
Yeah. And whether or not do we know that that's going to be her final name?
We know that that's her first name,
right?
But no,
she might be referenced to something else, like Wilson Fisk was the Kingpin,
right? So yeah, she could have some other name that we might be more familiar with, but her civilian name is Alexandra.
Yeah, and these pictures tell us a lot.
From the pictures, yeah. Well, Nick, what are your impressions of them?
Well, I mean, it's quite clear that she's someone very politically connected, someone very high profile, very meticulous. I got two different sort of inklings off of it. The first was that I was getting some vibes of like Carrie-Anne Moss that we have already.
Sure.
And that she's very well put together, very professional, very stoic, very on her game.
You're talking about Hogarth.
Yeah. I can never remember her character since it's not the original character's name.
Right.
And the other one that I got is like a sense of Mariah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Very much in charge, but at the same time has a very public persona, and could very well be running things in the background. And I got both of those from her, and if the character is at all any combination of those two things, I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
I completely agree. Obviously, because we know the Defenders are going to deal with the Hand, we assume there's some connection there.
Yeah.
But yes, there seems to be a public persona which strikes me as a politician of some sort. Your comparison to Black Mariah, I think, is a great one. One interesting piece of speculation that we had on MCUExchange.com with these photos and her name, there are not a lot of Alexandras or Alexanders in the comics, but one of note is a small character from Brian Michael Bendis' run on Daredevil named Alexander Bond. And he was the kingpin of crime in Hell's Kitchen before Wilson Fisk.
And he would always introduce himself by saying, Bond. Alexander Bond.
No.
That was another Bond I'm thinking of. Gold Bond. That's what it is.
That's what it is. So if Sigourney is playing kind of the new kingpin, maybe, somebody who steps up after Fisk is gone and kind of takes over Hell's Kitchen when he's in jail, maybe they butt heads at some point, maybe they work together at some point. I'd love to see that.
Well, we do have a shot of her at what looks like a dinner, a very public, functional sort of dinner. Whether it's, at an event or either she's just having a very fancy dinner one night. Do we know who she's sitting with? I don't think we've seen the reverse of that shot.
We have not, no.
I would love, and this is just fandom right here. I would love if she was having dinner with Wilson Fisk.
I like keeping Fisk in jail for now because I like the fact that he's running it and the fact that he has very little to do other than plot his revenge against Matt Murdock and Daredevil, who we may or may not know is the same person.
Let me propose a counter then. What if he's not free, but she uses her pull to get him brought to dinner?
Kind of like a Justin Hammer situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Still in prison jumpsuit.
Right.
Fully guarded and then brought back to jail as soon as dinner's over.
And
she proposes something to
does
him.
she bring him his bird?
My bird.
That's the real question.
You want a bird? I can get you 10 birds.
Sam Rockwell, by the way.
My Sam Rockwell is a pretty good impression.
Your Sam Rockwell, better than your Hannibal Buress. But can we just talk about how great Sam Rockwell is? Just in general?
Yes. Yes.
And specifically as Justin Hammer?
Or in the movie Moon?
Well, yeah, but that's even less related to what we're supposed to be talking about.
Oh, fine. How about him in Stella, the sketch comedy show?
You think that's closer to the MCU?
Yes. I'm sure if given enough time. Okay, here I got it.
Go.
So, Stella was composed of 3 comedians, one of which was Michael Ian Black. Michael Ian Black appeared in Spider-Man 2, which is a Marvel superhero.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I'll give you partial credit. So these photos of Sigourney Weaver, obviously there's a lot we don't know about her,
Right.
but
In fact, we really don't know much.
we don't know anything about her. But these first photos, even though they're just her looking relatively normal, they do give us our first little bit of insight into who she might be playing.
Yeah,
So that's really cool.
And she's a really talented actress. She is one of those people who takes on a role very fully. I mean, in her career, she has taken some very thin premises and made them work.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And so
I don't think the Alien franchise would be
No.
nearly as strong without her.
her as Ripley is still one of the best casting decisions I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And I think we did talk about this before, that she's the John McClane of space. And I think both things work as well because of the person they cast. Like, Die Hard wouldn't have worked without Bruce Willis.
Right.
And Alien wouldn't have worked without her as Ripley.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
I think the fact that we're able to sense so much about her performance from just a couple still images says that we're in for a ride.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And with something like this, you need a big villain. You need a really great villain.
Right. Who's going to be a threat to these people?
Right. So since, before we move on from the Defenders, just a quick question for you, Nick.
Uh-oh.
Is there a pairing? Because we do have these photos of Jessica and Matt. Mm-hmm. Is there a pairing of the Defenders that you are most excited to see?
Romantically or otherwise?
Either or.
Because it's going to be Jessica plus somebody otherwise.
Yeah, you think, well, because Luke seems to be with Claire.
Right.
Maybe Matt, maybe with Karen. Jessica and Foggy?
I just mean of the Defenders proper. Oh, Jessica and Foggy. I would watch I'd watch a sitcom called Jessica and Foggy.
Me too.
Can we make this happen?
Other than romantically, two Defenders that you're most excited to see interact.
I would.
And feel free to expand to Misty Knight and Elektra.
I'm going to include Punisher on this.
Include Punisher, although we don't know if he'll be in the series or not.
But I would love to see him with Iron Fist.
Interesting.
2 opposing sort of
very different
approaches.
styles, yes.
And I would love to see sort of the clash of contexts that would occur by having them interact and both have to get to the same end. I'd love to see a hallway fight with both of them involved.
That would be great.
As you watch, like, one side very calmly taking them down and the other just, like, raining bullets.
Speaking of hallway fights, and I don't know if you've heard about this, actually, but it has been confirmed that the 4 Defenders will meet together for the very first time in a hallway fight in the Defenders, which makes so much sense, and I'm so excited to see that.
I'm glad we're getting it. I hope it's done after that.
Oh, you're saying once is great, but you do it every single time and you can't possibly live up? Yeah.
I get it. It's great. I love where they've taken it. There are only so many times I can see it before I go, I get it. You guys like hallways. Maybe do an elevator next.
And I still think the first one in the first season of Daredevil is still their best.
Yeah. No, if I'm thinking about it, I'd have to agree with
The
you.
one in season 2 was also really, really strong.
But the novelty
of the first one, yeah, exactly.
And the cleanliness of it. Just a static shot, holding, and everything happens.
Right.
No cuts, no nothing. And that door that gets screwed up is just acted around. Because you know that door was not supposed to stay there.
Right.
And they worked with it. So I think that says a lot about it, and why I think that one will always stay. Although the Iron Fist one we saw,
we didn't even see all of it.
Right.
But yeah, it was really great.
He gets to the elevator.
We saw the first, what looked to be half of a hallway / elevator fight in Iron Fist, and so get excited about that because we're only about a month and a half away from that too.
That's right. That snuck up on me.
Well, speaking of Marvel Television. It is a busy, busy year for Marvel Television.
It really is. You guys,
we know that we have 3 movies coming out this year, but we have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans,
yes,
Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, Punisher, Iron Fist, The Defenders. I don't think I'm missing any, but I might be.
And A Partridge in a Pear Tree.
All set for either production or release in 2017.
Yeah. It's insane.
And so 3 of those shows that will be in the production at the same time are Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, and The Inhumans.
Yep.
The first 2, they begin production in just a few weeks in February. Inhumans begins production in the beginning of March, which means casting news for all 3 is right around the corner, because it has to be.
You would hope.
And in fact, we did get casting news for Cloak and Dagger.
Yep. After a lot of rumors going a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And some good sources on those rumors. So, there are definitely some ones that probably were in contention.
Yes. So, yeah, what you're talking about is MCU Exchange. We ran a report, a rumor. We said that it looked like Debbie Ryan was possibly in contention for the role. And judging who they did cast, Olivia Holt, another Disney Channel star.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like that might be likely. But of course, until these casting things are announced, you can never take anything as concrete evidence.
Well, just look at Doctor Strange,
right?
Where
right.
you had a lot of now what has been confirmed final discussions with people that ended up falling through.
I think it might have even been I think the trades might have even announced Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
As if it was pretty much a done deal. Like Joaquin Phoenix was in final talks.
Yeah.
Which at that point, if the trades are announcing it, it's done.
Yeah.
And then obviously that didn't happen. So anyway, these things happen. But the 2 actors we did get to play Cloak and Dagger are 2 people that I've never heard of. Aubrey Joseph playing Cloak and Olivia Holt playing Dagger.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts? Because I honestly don't. They look the part. They look fine.
That's exactly what I was going to say is I know nothing of their acting talents. I'm sure somebody in the comments is a huge fan. Please let us know why we should be more excited about this.
Yes.
They look great for it, though.
Yeah. Now, Aubrey Joseph was in The Night Of on HBO. I don't know what role he played. I'm guessing a small one. If you haven't seen The Night Of, check it out. It's amazing. Riz Ahmed, who played the lead in that, he was also in Rogue One. He is near the top of my list of actors that I want in the MCU.
Oh, really?
He's fantastic. He was good in Nightcrawler. He was good in the night. He was fantastic in The Night Of. It's also really good.
I know it's really good. Just I don't have enough time to see all these movies, Doug.
Yeah.
Between Marvel and the rest of the world, I barely have enough time for Marvel. I get enough flack from you guys for not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, how's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going, by the way?
Shut up about that, Doug. And now I'm going to get flack because I'm probably not going to watch Cloak and Dagger or Runaways. Probably Runaways, actually.
Do you have a Hulu account?
Do you have a Hulu account?
You'll watch an episode then.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on Hulu.
There is a lot of stuff on Hulu.
I think Bonanza's on Hulu now.
Well, then that's your decision made for you.
I need to have a bonanza.
Well, I think we need to have a casting bonanza because I'm ready for Inhumans casting news. There's, again, if you want to check out rumors, go to MCUExchange.com. We've reported on a couple of them. Actors are all over social media tweeting about Inhumans, looking like they might be up for it. Again, these are not sure things. Don't take it as proof.
But a lot of people also love getting that initial burst of publicity.
Sure. I mean, if I'm in talks to get a role, and I can get all of Twitter buzzing about how cool it would be if I was cast, maybe that increases my chances.
Yeah, like recently released information that Miles Teller and Emma Watson were in contention for the roles in La La Land.
Right.
And, that sort of snuck by everyone's radar, but they were apparently pretty far along in the process. So who knows? Maybe the right publicity at the right time would have pushed them ahead of Emma Stone and Gosling, the guy who doesn't eat cereal. Yeah. Have you never seen that?
No.
Okay, we're going to have a nice Nick Fox diversion time.
Oh, no.
On a scale of 1 to fun, how much do you love this? Yeah, so the right publicity at the right time. And the one example I always think of is that years ago, not that long ago, but before Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull was in production, there were heavy rumors that Shia LaBeouf was going to be in it. He was not originally supposed to be in it.
Huh.
Apparently his people started this rumor to get people excited about it so that Spielberg and crew would put him into it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've heard of that working a couple times. I think that's kind of Vin Diesel's way of getting parts that he likes, just saying that he wants them over and over, and sometimes he gets them.
Yeah, I mean, he constantly has to ask to be Dominic Toretto.
Yep, every time. It's weird. Every Fast and Furious movie they make, they consider recasting him.
They're always like, who'd be great in this? Ron Howard's brother. Clint Howard will be great as Dominic Toretto.
But then they see on Facebook that Vin Diesel said he wants to do the role again.
You know what? Yeah, we already... You know what? We owe it to him to give him a shot.
What are we talking about?
I don't even know anymore. Casting. We're talking about casting.
So by the time this episode goes up, there's a pretty good chance we'll know some Inhumans casting because, like I said, that's going to get announced any day now. So this may be irrelevant, but...
And if it is, talk amongst yourself in the comments.
Exactly.
How much you like those casting.
We'll talk about Inhumans casting and what we think of it next time, I'm sure.
Which will be in another 3 months, probably.
Probably something like that.
We're the Rick and Morty of podcasts.
In that you never know when you're going to get the next one.
Exactly.
And not all of them are as exciting as they would be.
Most episodes are sort of like the intergalactic television episodes that we've gotten.
Yeah, except like less funny.
We're like just the how did I get here segment of the second one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's us.
We're steely.
Shall we move on?
I think we should.
Good.
No.
So, speaking of Marvel's busy production schedule, Black Panther has officially begun filming.
I mean, again, no surprise to anybody.
No, we knew about this for a few weeks because of leaked set photos and stuff like that, but now that it got an official press release with an official cast list.
Which
includes Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman, who we saw in Age of Ultron and Civil War, respectively. And they are Black Panther characters, so they are returning for the Black Panther movie. Makes sense, nobody's surprised, but it's still great.
I mean, I feel like this episode's a lot of, not a surprise, but still cool to hear news.
Well, part of the reason we took such a long break, obviously we were busy, we were with family and everything, but this time of year is just traditionally not a very busy time for news.
Celebrities, production assistants, production crew, they're all with their families as well.
Right.
Hollywood has to abide by holidays as well. And it's just the way the news flows. But it's exciting that things are back in action. They're definitely flowing forward again.
What all this news is telling us today is that things are back in full swing, gearing up for a very packed year.
And I'm really excited to see Claw again.
Yeah, me too. Especially now that he is missing his hand.
Right? He's going to get a claw.
Or something. Maybe the sonic gun. I'd like to see that.
Okay. Maybe he'll get like a Gatling gun. Like, have you ever seen that Mecha Abe Lincoln?
Yes, I have.
It's right here right now.
It is now, yeah.
I want that. Just old school Gatling gun. Just right here. Ready to go.
I'd be cool with that. Or pull a Coulson and just have him have different gadgets that he can attach to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. And I feel like the Coulson hand has actually paid off in the episodes I've seen.
The Coulson hand is actually one of the coolest parts of Coulson's character now.
Yeah.
And they don't overuse it, but it's not like a thing that they used once and then forgot about.
Yeah.
Like the mouse hole in season 1. It was the Bernie thing that Fitz invented. That was Nick Fury used it in Winter Soldier to escape. The SUV.
Oh.
That thing.
Yeah.
That was super helpful and would make a lot of sense to use again. That hasn't been seen.
Like the instant paralyzer from Iron Man 1?
Yeah. There's a lot of forgotten MCU technology that could be really useful.
This is the show we want. Forget all this nonsense. The show we want is the guy who maintains the warehouse of these gadgets that they are no longer allowed to use.
They never use again, yeah.
And just like the misadventures he has. Make it The Office. Like Michael Scott is tending to these life-threatening devices and hijinks ensue.
I'd watch that.
It practically writes itself. You know, I think we're actually just writing Powerless at this point.
We might be.
That's actually, as a side note, I haven't watched it yet, but Powerless is such a cool idea for a show.
It's a great idea for a show. I've not watched it, and it doesn't look that great, to be honest.
I like it in theory.
I like it in theory. Same reason I like Damage Control, if that ever happens.
Probably won't. I do love, though, that DC is owning what it's supposed to be, which is having fun on TV. Like, DC on TV right now is doing its thing.
DC's great. Last night, from the perspective of when we're filming this, a few
days ago,
The Legends of Tomorrow did a Legion of Doom episode.
Did they really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. And, like, the opening, instead of... Because you don't watch any of the CW shows. So it always, like, every episode of Arrow starts
Supergirl for a little bit.
Starts with a monologue that starts with "My name is Oliver Queen."
Okay.
Flash always starts with "My name is Barry Allen." Legends of Tomorrow last night started with "My name is Damian Dark," and it was an entire monologue from the villain's perspective.
I'm in.
To start the episode. I saw it, and I'm like, this is the best episode of TV ever.
How out of the loop would I be if I just watched that episode?
Very. Extremely. Because it draws on mythology from Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash.
Can you sit with me and be my human Wikipedia as I watch it sometimes?
Sure.
Okay. And then I will just frequently pause it, and you will tell me, here's what you need to know about 3 seasons of this show.
The DC shows, with the occasional exception of Arrow, although Arrow's gotten really good this season too.
Oh, it undid all the bad will it had?
Not quite.
Some of the
but
bad will
a lot of it. I mean, it was pretty much unwatchable in season 4, and season 5 so far has been its strongest since its second season.
Well, season 2 is always where I hear it.
Season 2 was really good, and then season 3 just, started going downhill.
Another, like, I always hear that there was some ancillary character they introduced, and everything was about this character.
That would be Felicity Smoke, who was a great side character, and then they made the entire show about her. But what is this? Is this DCCW Arrowverse show?
No one wants a Poochie in their show.
No one wants a Poochie in their show.
When the character's off screen, everyone's going, "Where's Poochie?" You have a bad show.
That's essentially what it was. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Since we're apparently talking about this because it's more interesting than Black Panther.
Well, look, we love Claw. We love Martin Freeman's character. I've already forgotten his name.
Everett Ross.
We love him. What else is there to say?
It makes a lot of sense for them to be in it. Yeah,
it makes absolute sense that they're going to be there. The only question we have is, are we going to see Winter Soldier? Probably.
I don't think we are. Maybe a cameo.
I think we're going to see him like in the background. I think we're going to get very much how the Guardians had the Collector's collection.
Oh, sure.
We might just see him in a room somewhere.
I can see that easily. I don't think we'll see him wake up in this movie.
No. I don't think we'll see him wake up. He'll be in it in some capacity. Yes. Or referenced.
I mean, I think we'd be talking a lot more about this story if it was that they weren't going to be in the movie.
Oh, yeah, and we'd be outraged because it would make no sense.
It makes no sense for at least Andy Serkis. Not because if you list the most recognizable Black Panther villains, and it's not like Black Panther has a Spider-Man rogues gallery where all of his villains are iconic. He doesn't really have too many, but Claw is number 1.
Yeah.
And we know Michael B. Jordan is playing Killmonger, the other villain in this movie. Maybe they'll team up. Maybe Serkis will be just like a villain that he deals with at first, like Crossbones and Crossbones in Civil War. That's my cue to take a sip of water.
Yeah, and I really hope he doesn't get crossboned.
Me too. It doesn't make sense to waste Andy Serkis like that.
Look, I mean, here's a little thing that does bother me about the MCU, is they seem to have their structures a little flipped sometimes, in that they have their most memorable villain, their most memorable fight up front.
Yeah.
Then they have their anonymous, everyone can die and we don't really care fight at the end, which I understand the latter is to demonstrate the teamwork or to demonstrate the hero and their full capabilities, but it also lessens the impact. I think, for me, the worst example of it is Iron Man 3. You know I have an unpopular opinion of Iron Man 3.
Yes.
I think Iron Man 2 is wildly better, miles better. I'm a huge Shane Black fan. I don't think it was a great Shane Black movie, which is the line that most people use. I think it was an okay movie tops and is probably near the bottom of my list of MCU movies.
I don't think people would disagree with you, except for the fact that you would put it below Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 is a clearly superior film, and anyone who disagrees with me can mention it in the comments right now.
Please do.
But that fight alone is sort of the reverse of the reverse, in that you have too many Iron Man suits.
Sure.
And it just, it doesn't allow you to enjoy and savor his abilities. It doesn't allow you to enjoy and savor what Extremis is doing. It doesn't allow you to enjoy any of it.
Yeah.
And I think Avengers 1 is the exception to the rule, in that it so perfectly captured every character and how they dealt with this horde that we didn't mind that we didn't know anything about these villains. Avengers 2, less so, because suddenly we have a villain that has an intention and we don't know enough about it.
And also, the fight that everybody loves in the Avengers, that's kind of the preamble to actually fighting the villain.
Yeah, absolutely.
The showdown with Loki where they just kick his ass, that's the real fight.
Yeah, and so with things like Crossbones, with things like Claw, we need to make sure that we are using these villains for their best purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
And not just throwing them away in the beginning to call fan service.
Right.
And I think, let's be fair, I think the reason I'm being a little harsher is because of what Red Letter Media is doing recently. They are calling out a lot of people who have shows like this and the style in which they present.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
how everything is very happy and very celebratory. And I think it's fair to say that we're very critical of Marvel as well.
Sure. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be running the show if we weren't overall fans. But yeah, we don't think everything they do is perfect.
Let it be known, we're in no rush to make a DC version of this show.
And yet, we just almost derailed one of our stories to talk about DC shows that you don't even watch.
You were going to say something about it.
I was going to talk more about Felicity, because that character, that really...
Give me the example you were going to give.
The example I was going to give is, in one episode, so you have Oliver Queen running for mayor, right?
Okay.
And he's going to debate his opponent, who happens to be the wife of the big bad for that season. Sounds like kind of an important scene, right?
Yeah.
In that same episode, Felicity... who at that point was either his girlfriend or his fiance or his ex-fiance, was giving a presentation to her board of directors for some reason. To impress them, I think. I mean, it was not important to the overall plot of it was important to her story arc,
right?
But not to the overall plot.
The B story.
So between the debate and the presentation, which one did we see like 5 minutes of? The presentation. Which one did we see literally 0 seconds of? The debate. We saw him walk on stage, and I think that's where it cut. So when the show is called Arrow, and you have the Green Arrow running for mayor, which in the comics even is like a pretty big thing
you would think
about his character. And then you don't show the debate, but you do show a presentation to a board of directors for a secondary character. Anyway, she's still on the show. She's still on the show, but they have put her back into a role where she assists the team. She doesn't draw focus away from the team.
I'm guessing that the board of directors thing didn't go well then.
I think that one did, but then later it didn't. She got fired eventually. She also nuked a bunch of people.
You know, that usually affects people's perception of
Well, somebody else nuked a bunch of people. Spoilers for Arrow Season 4, but don't watch Arrow Season 4. Somebody else was going to nuke a bunch of people, then she redirected the nuke so it nuked fewer people. So she, like, saved millions of lives, but she killed thousands. And then they just kind of ignored that and brought it up, like, once, 4 episodes
people
later.
Just angrily bring it up at parties with her.
Well, like,
hey, aren't you that person that
the sole survivor of that nuclear attack is now on the team because he got superpowers from it, because he was wrapped in a magic cloak.
I feel
of
like
rags.
he's a little biased.
The thing is, when you say any of the plot points of any of these shows out loud, they sound completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's what makes them so fun. I mean, if you were to do... And I'm being critical towards Season 4 of Arrow. I enjoy Arrow so far this season. And I really love Flash. And Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 is just barrels of fun. But if I were to actually describe any of the episodes, they sound too ridiculous to be good. They work way better than they should. Why are we talking about DC again?
Well, because it's an example of something that's working. It's something that's doing well, and I think it's important to point out that we have Marvel that seems to be firing on all cylinders. Right. That has this well-oiled machine that is now in production on like 7 or 8 different things right now.
Right.
And it's churning full speed ahead, and it's awesome. But it's also important to recognize that we are nerds and we appreciate other things as well.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
And we need to give credit where credit is due. I don't even watch this stuff, but everything I hear is saying that DC is doing wonders with TV.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I think in terms of TV, in terms of animation, and in terms of a few aspects of their movies like cinematography and score, DC's blowing Marvel out of the water.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of funny how Marvel owns the theater space. Mm-hmm. DC really is owning the TV space. Yeah. They have a specific vision for all of this. And Marvel has had its issues.
On the TV side, absolutely.
Not the Netflix side, which is a whole other side that's amazing.
Netflix, they kind of knocked it out of the park because they were the first. Yeah. I mean, not the first Netflix original series, but the first superhero series on Netflix.
Yeah.
So actually, bringing it back to Marvel, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
So DC has created their mini universe on the CW network.
Yeah.
And
own Superman, own everything.
Right. And not only has it done well for DC, it's done really great things for the CW. The CW in the past 5 years has gone from like a junior network that nobody really knows about, that like, oh yeah, you watch Supernatural. Like, it's the show that your teenage sister watched. Now all of a sudden it's winning awards. It's got Jane the Virgin and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Doing really well, not just for a CW show, but just doing well, period.
Yeah.
Freeform, formerly ABC Family.
Mm-hmm. I see where you're going with this.
They have not managed to have a hit after rebranding as Freeform. They're going after almost the exact same demographic.
Bunheads.
Young adult. Yeah, Bunheads didn't knock it out of the park for them.
My favorite show.
I don't even know what else is on Freeform, so I can't give a second example.
A lot of Harry Potter movies, I think, during the holidays.
Right. So, do you think that Cloak and Dagger is ABC's way of establishing a junior network like CW and filling it with superhero shows in order to draw an audience like the CW did? If so, do you think we should expect more Marvel shows on Freeform after Cloak and Dagger?
So I have 2 answers here. I think that is their hope and their intention. Yes. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
I think they see a model that's working and they want to copy it. I don't think it's going to work.
Because you don't think Cloak and Dagger will be a huge hit?
I think it has the potential to be. I don't think it's going to get the audience. I think.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't talking quality. I meant in terms of.
Oh, I think it'll be
numbers.
Good. I think it'll be good. I don't think the audience will show up for it.
I don't either.
I really don't. I think it's not even superhero fatigue at this point. It's that just in general on TV we have way too many options at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Between, I mean, personally, I have access to HBO Go, Showtime Anytime, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video,
Netflix,
and probably like 2 other things that I'm not even thinking of right now. I have too many things to watch ever. Yeah. And so this is sort of coming along as an also ran, not just as another superhero thing, but as another program on TV, period. And unless it's coming to the table with something really unique, I just don't think it's going to get eyeballs right now.
I kind of feel the same way, and I'd like it too, because
I'd love it too.
You know, Netflix has kind of established their dark, more grounded corner of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
If Marvel wanted to find a place for a younger, maybe a little bit lighter, more romancy corner of the MCU,
fair enough. Yeah.
I think that totally makes sense for them to do that. There's definitely an audience for that. Freeform seems like the obvious choice.
Yeah, of all the networks they have access to easily.
Yeah, and so I'd like to see it do well.
It's not going to go on ESPN.
Right. But the fact that they're doing that, or if they wanted to do that, makes it a little confusing that Runaways is not on Freeform. Because Runaways is another young series. Instead, it's going to Hulu.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is I don't think they know which model is going to work yet. The TV model, the streaming model. And I think they're hedging their bets a little bit by putting 2 shows that are marketed to similar audiences.
Right.
in two different distribution channels. And I don't think either one's going to work, because what would help them is if one was supporting the other.
Right.
And you could do promotion off of one for the other. You could have a lead in for one to the other, whatever. And I think you see that with CW shows. They have crossover episodes.
They have storyline. They do huge crossover events.
Right. And so it pays to watch multiple shows.
It does.
And so there's a bit of a halo effect. You're not going to get that if you're putting two different shows on two different platforms. So as much as I want to see it do well, as much as I think these people look like they're amazingly cast, I think we're just at a point where TV is too saturated.
So then, do you think that the gambit that they're using with Inhumans will pay off?
I don't think they have rights to gambit.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think
you can see how frustrated I am with you.
Every time, yes.
No, turning network TV back into event programming.
I think that is, again, I said unless you have a unique hook, and I think that could very well be their unique hook. I think it's a little too early to say whether or not it'll work. I think the results will be interesting regardless.
I agree.
Aside from that, I can't really say. But I think I'll go see it definitely in IMAX.
Oh, I will too. I'll be first in line. But I think you made a really good point, though, about Marvel kind of hedging their bets with TV right now. Because TV's in this weird place. We don't know what it's going to look like 5 years from now, let alone 10.
Yeah, I mean, ratings are done +7 now because everyone's DVRing things.
Everyone's DVRing. They're watching on Hulu 2 days later. Yeah, whatever. So I think because the TV landscape is so unsure, I agree. It seems like Marvel's trying to do a little bit of everything so that whatever works, they can keep going with and develop further, like they have with Netflix, adding more shows to their initial plan, and stuff that doesn't work so well, maybe they back off of.
Yeah, and you know what? I hope something works from this experiment, because
Netflix clearly is.
Yeah, and I the one thing I'm hesitant about, though, is I just don't want to see too many of these shows fail, because I think then we start having a 90s situation where you start getting too used to superhero properties failing, comic properties failing, and you come to expect it.
Yeah.
Like, once we got into the land of Spawn and Phantom and Steel in the 90s, Steel was especially awful.
Spawn was good, though. The cartoon?
I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, okay. The movie was,
I'm talking about live action movies. I mean, because that was a thing that was making people a lot of money, and then it wasn't all of a sudden. I mean, superheroes, people might not remember this, but in the 90s, superheroes were a really hot property. 89 Batman really launched it, and
97 Batman and Robin kind of killed it.
Yeah, that's the era right there.
Right.
And you have this very distinct sort of decade where this really, really worked, and we're about to hit a decade of this being in place.
I think it's been more than a decade.
Iron Man 1.
I think it starts before that. I think it starts...
You want to call it with Spider-Man 1?
I think you have to start it with the X-Men films, the Blade films, and the Raimi Spider-Man movies.
I'm not sure if you can count Blade. I always count Spider-Man because it's the first of the right vision. That first X-Men movie does not hold up as well as it should.
Oh, none of them hold up.
Spider-Man 1 does.
Even X2, the best X-Men movie, according to some people, really doesn't hold up at all. No, the X-Men movies were very of their time.
Yes.
The X-Men movies, I think, were a transition from the Schumacher, campy, nipples on the bat suit,
Bat credit card,
to this can be something that we take a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
They went overboard. They overcorrected, but it was enough to get people in the right mindset again.
That's fair.
And I think without X-Men, there would be no Dark Knight.
Oh, no, that's 100% true, because that's a reaction. That the entire thing is about a reaction. Reaction. But I'm just hesitant because the moment there starts being consistent bad will towards comic properties is the moment that people stop going and they stop being funded and all of us nerds stop getting the things we love.
I agree. Which is why I want DC's movies to be really good.
Yes. It's also the reason why I'm glad we're getting some very interesting casting choices out of the way now, getting some side characters and some really cool characters already in the movies. Get them in now before no one cares. For instance, Pip the Troll.
Yes.
Which it looks like we're getting.
Which, let's move on and talk about our last story of the day, which is Peter Dinklage in final talks to join Infinity War.
Yeah.
which basically means he's cast, as we already kind of talked about. We don't know who he's playing. He's playing a key role. However,
it seems reasonable to assume that he's probably going to be Pip the Troll, given his hair color, given...
So, right, the hair color thing, that was the big one. So he was caught in... He was photographed in Manhattan, actually.
Yeah.
Getting his hair did, and he dyed it bright red.
He does not look happy about it either.
No, he doesn't.
I will say, it is Black Widow red.
Yes, it is. It is Black Widow red. It's also Pip the Troll red. So if you're not familiar with Pip the Troll, he is a character tied to Adam Warlock in the comics, who is a major player in the Infinity War story and the Infinity Gauntlet story. So we kind of should expect to see him at some point.
Yeah.
Especially if Pip shows up. But in terms of his personality, think Tyrion Lannister, only more. He drinks more. Everything Tyrion does, just more, and not quite as smart. But I mean, it's a personality type that we know Dinklage can play.
Yeah,
and it's a character that I'd be excited to see, because he's a fun. I mean, just like Tyrion, he's a fun character. He always brings a lot of great energy, and somebody with Dinklage's caliber acting could really make it a real character too.
Yeah, bring some more depth to it. And I think that's something that Marvel has been good about so far, is bringing depth to characters that could be very superficial in the wrong hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
This could be a very
Peggy Carter.
Yeah, this could be a very scene-chewing role for the wrong person, for the wrong director, for the wrong team. But the fact that Dinklage is potentially in this role gives me a lot of hope that it's going to be done right. But come on, I have to say, this just looks like a picture of Black Widow from behind.
It's entirely possible that, just like Vin Diesel, they have to recast every single Marvel actor between every film. And Scarlett Johansson decided to pass on Black Widow this time.
In the comments, how much money would you pay to see Peter Dinklage play Black Widow in a movie?
What I want is a recut of Iron Man 2, the first fight scene we ever see her, where she takes out like 30 guys
in the hallway.
Yeah, and Happy takes like
our
one out.
First hallway fight.
Yes, exactly. I just want to see that scene recut with Peter Dinklage.
Scissor legs.
Yes.
Say no more.
I will say no more.
I would, if somebody out there has the editing abilities, like whoever did the Spider-Man and Deadpool video together.
Oh yeah.
Please make this a reality for us. We will give you no money but all of our love. That is.
I might give you some money if it's really good. We'll see.
We'd have to see the finished product first. Yeah, Dinklage, Black Widow. That's what we want to see. But what we're probably going to see is Dinklage as
the troll.
Pip.
Right.
Which is very cool and really exciting. I want more pictures, though.
I do, too. And he was at some awards show a couple days later, and his hair was back. He had dyed his hair back, so I'm guessing that was maybe for a screen test or something, but...
Potential. It's also possible that, Hollywood has good wigs.
That's true.
There was the case of, I think it was Jim Carrey, who maybe for Me, Myself, and Irene went on to some late night show, shaved his head on the show, and had the clip that he brought with him projected onto his bald head. And like 2 days later, he was in an award show with a full head of hair. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. So, he could very well still have the hair underneath of something. Or maybe, he just wanted a new look for a little bit and decided he didn't really like being a redhead. Maybe.
Either way, it's exciting to see him brought into the MCU. Sigourney Weaver, Riz Ahmed, and Peter Dinklage are three actors that I really wanted in the MCU, and now we have two of them. So come on, Riz.
Come on.
He's in Star Wars. He can be in both.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good potential there. I would watch that, but that's a whole other thing. Speaking of things we're excited for, another small thing which we'll sort of cap off the show is the Guardians of the Galaxy Super Bowl ad.
Now, for fans who might not know, what is the Super Bowl?
That is a very good question. I believe it is a dance done in the movie Footloose.
Okay, so the movie Footloose is coming out this weekend, and obviously it's a movie, so before movies we have trailers.
Oh, if you get there,
And one trailer that we're expecting to see, this is not confirmed, but we know that Disney has 2 trailer spots for the game, one of which is probably going to Pirates of the Caribbean 5 or 6 or whatever one it is now.
47.
The other one probably going to Guardians. So, our question for you and for you, Nick, or me, what do you think we'll see, or what do you hope we'll see in the
Answer
new
them both.
trailer?
So, okay. I'm going to answer what I hope we'll see. I hope we'll see some plot. I hope we'll see something that gives us an inkling of where the story is going, because as of right now, we know absolutely nothing.
Okay.
We have some good indications of who might be key players, but we don't really have much more than that. I really hope we get some plot. That's not what I think we'll see, though. I think we will see a single scene of banter.
Ah, okay.
I think we will see one scene of banter, back and forth, probably with Quill and Drax. And I think it'll just be 30 seconds of that, smash cut to the logo, and then, in theaters, whatever.
I like that prediction, because what I hope we'll see, and what I think we'll see, is a lot more Drax.
Okay.
James Gunn has been talking on Facebook and social media and Twitter and all that stuff about how Dave Bautista absolutely steals this movie.
Yeah.
He's the character that everybody's going to be excited to see. And if that's the case, I imagine they will highlight that in their trailer that millions and millions of people are going to see. I don't think it'll be one scene, because I think we'll get a little bit of everything. Because everybody might, it might be the first time people are even hearing of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Where have you been?
But, it's the Super Bowl audience, so you never know. So I think we'll get a little bit of plot, a little bit of every character, but a whole lot of Drax.
Every character?
No, not every character.
Even the extras?
Yes. No, I think we'll get maybe a little bit more Mantis, but
no Ego?
I don't know if we'll see Ego or not. We have seen him in toys, but we haven't gotten a really good look at him yet. Yeah. I could see it happening, but I would be just as happy if we don't get any plot. I'm so sold for this movie. I'm already going to see it. I need to know nothing more about this movie to make sure I see it.
You're in a shut up and take my money mood.
I am, yeah. And the less I didn't know very much at all about the first Guardians.
Yeah, I was so in the dark on that. I knew the basics that you know from being a nerd.
Yeah, but I was all the better for it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is I ended up enjoying that movie so much more because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
That's the thing, is something like Winter Soldier is such an amazing success in my mind because I knew the story, and it still blew me away.
Right.
Which is why it will, I think, forever be at the top of my list. Because it again, I knew what was coming, and I was still surprised by it.
Right.
So, I'm still in the same boat with Guardians. I have no clue what to expect. I've learned a little bit in the interim, but I'm still no expert on Guardians.
Right.
I don't know the entire history of the team. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but what are you excited to see? What do you want to see? What do you expect to see in this ad if it happens? Leave it in a comment below, and we'll, if we have some favorites, we'll read them out on another show. Because honestly, we really do read every single comment.
We do. And by the way, that not just for this question. If you have any questions for us, no matter what they're about, I mean, maybe MCU, but who knows? Maybe not. We talk about anything else. If you have a question or a comment for us, please let us know in the comments.
We have other interests as well.
We will read every comment you post, and if you ask us a question, pretty good chance we'll answer it on the show. So keep your comments coming, and make sure to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and check us out on Facebook and Twitter at the MCU Exchange and on MCUExchange.com for all your up-to-the-minute updates and news on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Until next time, and that might be a week or a month.
Who knows?
I'm Doug Herring.
I'm Nick Fox.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.